President Trump, because if it wasn't for him, nothing would be possible. But yeah, I'm super grateful.
Hands up, Venezuela!
Let's compare the Venezuelan reaction, the people who've lived under this kind of rule, or similar countries, places like Cuba, versus the American leftists, and ask yourself, how are they so out of touch? Venezuela. Okay. So this happened over the break, but it's still developing. Like I promised, you can always check the links in the description. I want to give you a summary on the outset. Obviously, Maduro was captured. Okay. Very effectively. And there are winners and losers. I'll give them to you, and then we'll expound. So the winners would be America, the very concept of deterrence, credibility, the people of Venezuela, Marco Rubio, because a hit was put out on him, and also these first-time sailors.
Please, please, please.
Yes. Okay. The losers in this equation would be America, the United States' geopolitical foes, international law, because it's no longer a thing. Of course, Canada, that's a big one. Sean Penn, because he praised, Chavez and Chavez Maduro are one and the same, and this bounty hunter. Got a little late.
Yep, well.
Dang it.
So we'll go through all of those, expound upon them, but if you don't have time, check the references and you'll be pretty much up to speed. Let me break this down for you. Maduro obviously just appeared in New York to face charges. Kind of a nice move, by the way, from the United States. As far as I'm concerned, you guys can comment below. You put a hit out on a president, an American president, a member of the cabinet, sitting senator, you should be executed. And Maduro tried to put a hit out on Rubio. I mean, just like, that's enough. That's enough to me, but there's a whole lot more than that. So he appeared in court in New York, which I don't really like. I would prefer he'd be dead to face these charges related to narco-terrorism.
It's a long walk to face the wrath of American justice for Nicolas Maduro and his wife Celia. Dressed in matching tan prison uniforms, they're led in handcuffs from a chopper, headed to their first court appearance, surrounded by heavily armed federal agents.
Maduro entered the courtroom wishing people in the gallery a happy new year, but then he turned defiant, telling the judge that he has been kidnapped. He has been captured at his home in Caracas, Venezuela, and that he is the elected leader of Venezuela and has the right to run his country as he sees fit.
We're using that term a little loosely these days, elected leader.
Yeah.
Turns out it's pretty easy to be elected if you just lock people out from voting.
That's true. And by the way, he had the right to run his country however he chose to, right up until we came and took him.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry.
And there was nothing he could do about it. Just think about that for a second. It just lets people know how badass the United States military, when we're unencumbered by rules of engagement that make our mission murky and our presence absurd. This is the kind of stuff we can do. You saw Iran, you saw this. You may be against it. That's a conversation to have. But when people just throw out military industrial complex, there's a lot of red tape. I understand that bureaucracy needs to be cleaned up.
Yeah.
There's also something to be said where the number one superpower of the world, the United States, the gap between us and number two is so wide that the ground can't be made up. That's what gives us the ability to negotiate from a place of strength.
Yeah, and I think the world forgot
what
the U.S. is capable of because of certain, rules of engagement, ROE, that we are using in other conflicts and certain political, carefulness in what we are doing.
Yeah.
But they're just reminded the boogeyman exists and he wears an American flag on his shoulder.
I check under my bed for a boogeyman. He's just dust bunnies. Bish, why don't you try cleaning this place once in a while? So let me give you the winners. Number one, United States of America. I'm not saying that it's without consequence, but overall, we are the biggest beneficiary of this. So the Monroe Doctrine, many of you are familiar with this. It's been making the rounds again. This is a major step towards reestablishing that. And that basically means that the Western Hemisphere is our top priority. We're geographically protected by oceans, but we don't let anyone in our own backyard start screwing around. So this was noted in the 2026 National Security Strategy, where they said we will enlist established friends in the hemisphere to control migration, stop drug flows, and strengthen stability and security on land and sea. And here's something else, too, because now you see people, I've seen an argument against this. I've seen some fake news circulating, too, that, now what's going to happen is Donald Trump's going to give citizenship to all these Venezuelans.
Yeah, so people got fooled by that.
Yeah. And some people saying, well, I hope you enjoy celebrating this with all the Venezuelans who come here because it's destabilized. A third of Venezuelans had already fled since 2014, including about 1 million to the United States. So what people are doing is they're taking reality inverting it and making a prediction. They're going, oh, yeah, well, because of this, we're going to have an immigration problem. No, we had it, and this is actually a step toward correcting that. Turns out, I don't know if you know this, if people starve in their own country, they try to leave.
And it says a lot, too, when you see that number, when it's 8 million and only 1 million made it to the United States.
Right.
It's like, it's not the typical story. It's like, well, of course, everybody wants to come to the United States. I mean, what a great opportunity. They're willing to go to Colombia. They're willing to go to Brazil, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Mexico. They're going anywhere that's near, but not Venezuela.
And if Venezuela becomes a more hospitable country, guess what? People are more likely to stay there. And there have been a lot of Venezuelans saying, you know what? I think I might go back and, really make a go of it over there at Grover Cleveland. Another,
I hope they do.
Another winner here, or I guess I should say a component of it. Oil is, by the way, let's be honest, it's a big deal. It does matter, and I appreciate that President Trump was open about that. Because remember, people used to say, oh, it's a war for oil. He's like, pretty much, because look, a little bit. We're the ones who invested. Maybe you guys don't know this. Invested this infrastructure, and a court ruled, international court, that Venezuela was guilty. Maduro expropriated and just nationalized things that they actually belong to American oil companies. Are we just supposed to let people pipe us and say, thank you, sir, may I have another? So Donald Trump voiced this. He articulated it pretty well. This is good for the United States, more access and more energy stability.
Venezuela seized and stole American oil, American assets, and American platforms, costing us billions and billions of dollars. They did this a while ago, but we never had a president that did anything about it. They took all of our property. It was our property. We built it. And we never had a president that decided to do anything about it. Instead, they fought wars that were 10,000 miles away. We built Venezuela oil industry with American talent, drive, and skill. And the socialist regime stole it from us during those previous administrations, and they stole it through force. We're going to be running it with a group, and we're going to make sure it's run properly. We're going to rebuild the oil infrastructure, which will cost billions of dollars. It'll be paid for by the oil companies directly. They will be reimbursed for what they're doing, but that's going to be paid. And we're going to get the oil flowing the way it should be. As you know, it was just a minor flow. It was actually a minor flow for what they have. But we're going to run it properly, and we're going to make sure the people of Venezuela are taken care of.
So, $17 trillion, by the way, in oil reserves. That's worth more than the GDP of like all but 2 countries.
So that's number one in the world.
Yeah, number one in the world as far
Bigger
as
than Saudi
it's
Arabia.
not all super accessible, so it'll take a while because of the terrain. But still, that is important. And I hear people saying like, no war for oil. Well, we're not at war. And I heard Megyn Kelly say, oh, boots on the ground. Oh, they're not going to die. You know where we have boots on the ground right now? Like 50,000 plus? Japan. Are we at war with Japan? Boots on the ground doesn't mean war. There is
Germany, Italy.
Yeah. There is no war, to be clear. And I get it. We shouldn't just go to war to enrich Halliburton. If you believe that as a premise, I would agree with you. But I also don't hate American oil industries in comparison to oil across the world. I want us to have cheaper energy and access to more energy and to be more independent than other nations out there. So yeah, war for oil or no bid contracts, corruption, I get it. That's bad. Same can be said for any energy sector. But the American oil industry, I want to do better than any other oil industry. I think that's America first. Here's an update, by the way. President Trump last night announced that Venezuela would be releasing millions of barrels of sanctioned oil to the United States. He wrote, this oil will be sold at its market price, and that money will be controlled by me, you guessed it, as President of the United States of America, to ensure it is used to benefit the people of Venezuela and the United States. I've heard some dummies say, how is that America first to benefit in Venezuela? No, what we're talking about is paying a fair market price. So this is another example. It's proof positive that we are not an empire. Empires don't pay for resources. Yeah. They take them and rape your face. That's what they do.
Yeah, they prefer the face.
Yes, they do.
It's like empirical data.
Yeah, it absolutely is, because it's a power move.
There's been a study?
Another...
it's empirical data about...
I mean, not everything needs a study, Gerald.
Imperial governments.
You science cultist.
Yeah.
Now, the second winner is conceptually the concept of deterrence, credibility.
Massive.
This is big. This is big because President Trump proved once again that he will make good on his threats. Whether you agree with it or not, you need to understand that it's an important facet taken into consideration from our enemies when making decisions.
He has offered everything. He's offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to f*** around with the United States. Thank you, everybody.
President Trump says the U.S. carried out large-scale strikes on Venezuela overnight. He says its president, Nicolas Maduro, and his wife, Celia Flores, have been captured and flown out of the country.
Well,
just like his threats on Iran. And to be clear, like, I don't know if you know this, but the empire, the Mongols, under Genghis Khan, I think the term they use is the single largest contiguous land empire ever. I don't know how you gauge it as far as population, things like that, but it was huge. Something like 1/16 of people on Earth have some kind of Mongol DNA in them, likely from Genghis Khan himself, because he did not prefer the faith.
He was prolific.
Yeah, prolific. They did in 25 years what it took the Romans to do like 400 years. I mean, you can go back and look at, I believe it was Merv, was the Baghdad. I think Bork was one. Here's how it happened. They controlled a landmass. It went from Korea all the way to Europe, pretty much, with only about 100,000 soldiers. And that's 30 million people. The way they did it was by leveling cities. In some cases, people estimate 500,000 to 1 million people just gone. They showed up and they said, okay, surrender or complete annihilation. We're going to wait outside your city walls, and hesitation will be seen as making the decision. Just hesitation itself was turned into a crime. And what would they do? They'd go, oh, you hesitated a day, and they would divert a river and flood your entire village. And sometimes, even if you surrendered, they still took you out because they wanted to keep you guessing. Now, I'm not saying that this is right, but what I'm saying is they got to a certain point where for every 5 cities they would conquer, they really only needed to militarily take 1. The rest of them opened up the gates. Why? Because they knew that there would be follow through. Now, I'm not saying that we should be like Genghis Khan. What I am saying is there's something to be said for meaning what you say. If you count to 3, there better be consequences. Anyone out there have children? You know that, right? If you count to 3 and don't do it, you've now lost it. Your daughter's going to be a stripper. So,
jeez,
let's contrast this with a different approach, Democrats and their credibility on their stance as far as deterring a nuclear Iran.
Mr. President, to Iran in this moment?
Don't.
Well,
not a joke.
Don't forget Obama's red line in Syria if he uses chemical weapons, and then he did. And well, did I say red? I meant yellow, like maybe like caution. Yeah. Just be careful.
No, red light. I'm at yellow light. You're getting weed up.
Don't
forget how Biden handled Russia, which, by the way, is relevant in all this because you could say the same for NATO. We're like, you better stop. But by the way, can we still get a good price on all that energy?
All that sweet Russian oil?
Yeah.
A Biden administration official says a phone call between President Joe Biden and Russian President Vladimir Putin over the situation in Ukraine was, quote, professional and substantive, but there was, quote, no fundamental change in the dynamic. The president warning a Russian attack would cause widespread human suffering, telling Putin the U.S. and its allies would, quote, respond decisively with swift and severe costs.
Literally 12 days later.
Major breaking news this hour as Ukrainian government leaders say
what you're about to see happen on live television
has begun.
Start of the war.
Yep.
And
we have a hard break, guys. Act decisively this weekend at Applebee's.
With any handcrafted burger, only at Applebee's.
And they say America has no culture.
You know, there's a guy on the line. I can get you the spot right now. The war is kicking off. Are you in or out?
Somebody at Applebee's like, we didn't pay extra for that, did we?
I've got Fridays on the other line. Don't make me do it.
Putin to him. He's like, why is he wiggling his butt?
Yeah, maybe we were wrong.
Yeah.
Cancel the Super Bowl commercial. We got the Russia war.
It's all just reheated Cisco foods.
The other winners here would be the people of Venezuela. And this is something that American it's so funny, the left who demands you check your privilege. They don't realize that they are actually the walking example of privilege. And I don't mean, look, there's nothing wrong with being raised privileged. It's kind of like an immutable characteristic. There's nothing you can do about it. There is something wrong with lacking any self-awareness whatsoever, where you are actually doing the bidding of totalitarian dictators and communists. Again, I'm actually happy that we're back to killing communists. So let's compare the Venezuelan reaction, the people who've lived under this kind of rule, or similar countries, places like Cuba, versus the American leftists, and ask yourself, how are they so out of touch?
La veo muy emocionada llorando. ¿Cómo se siente? Cuéntanos por qué llora.
Felicidad, tantos años esperar esto, Señor. Gracias, Señor.
That's so weak.
Liberals in Scotland.
I love their chants, dude.
Venezuela!
Free Maduro. That's why these people wear Che Guevara shirts.
Celebrate for all these 24 years.
She can stay.
Definitely, I think it's something we not only have to celebrate, but thank our President Trump, because if it wasn't for him, nothing would be possible. But yeah, I'm super grateful.
Hands up, Venezuela! Hands up, Venezuela!
Listen to this.
Free President Maduro!
Hormones aren't kicking in yet.
What in God's name was that thing?
If you are a Venezuelan refugee living in the United States of America, understand something. He is saying you're a rapist, drug dealer that will get sent to fucking CCOT.
And who voted for this? The people in South Florida. The Venezuelan community, the Cuban American community, the Nicaraguan American community voted for this. And for us, this is a very, very happy day.
Now, let me be clear. There are plenty of people, and I know those, well, why don't you care about, and then insert whatever group here. Yeah. These Christians being persecuted there. Huh? Seems to me like you're only pro-intervention. That actually is a valid point. I'm only pro-intervention if it's in America's interests. In this case, they happen to be aligned. But it does nobody any favors to act as though the people of Venezuela lived under anything other than tyrannical rule. So that's a side benefit. It doesn't mean that we should free everybody in countries that have never gotten it right. Certainly the most oil-rich country in the world, who, by the way, screwed us out of contracts to which we were legally entitled. And keep in mind, for those of you who don't believe it, this is just more propaganda. Under Hugo Chavez, then Maduro, who, by the way, are one and the same. Chavez praised by Sean Penn. Chavez praised by Bernie Sanders. Breadlines are a good thing. Remember that? Venezuela spiraled absolutely into abject poverty. So the GDP per capita in 2010 was 13,600. Today it's 4,200. Their inflation in 2018, or I believe since 2018, was about 130,000
percent in 2018.
Jeez. The last time we were able to study this in 2017, the average Venezuelan lost 24 pounds.
The Venezuelan diet?
Yeah, they were
hit that.
starving. It was the original Ozempic.
Jeez.
And since then, since Maduro, I guess, was captured, the Caracas Stock Exchange is up 94%.
Like, oh, we can do business again without being killed.
Right.
Well, almost. Not yet.
Now, I know when people talk about, it's not our job to install a government. People talk about regime change. We were willing to take our chances with anyone else. And there need to be consequences if you violate your contracts and screw the United States, especially if you're setting up a landing pad for China and Russia.
Exactly.
And we'll get to that. One theory, I will say, that is unsubstantiated, but going around, and I think is reasonable, that Maduro was looking for an exit strategy, and this capture may have been some sort of a plea deal arranged behind the scenes with Donald Trump. The good news is we have exclusive audio.
Hola, Senor Trump. Nicky Maduro. Look, frankly, it's time for you to leave Venezuela. Marco Rubio, he wants to kill you. He's an angry little Mexican.
I think he's Cubano, pero that would look very bad for me. Very bad for me porque I have an image of a strong and powerful leader. They even have a nickname for me, and that name is Super Bigote.
Yes, I know. I've been called a super bigot too. Nasty nickname. Fake news. So, what do we do here, old Nicky?
Okay, what if, instead of what if I give you an inside man? That way you know where I am, what I'm doing, and that way you can send in your CIA and capture me. So you look like a tough guy, I look like a tough guy, and then you take me to Estados Unidos, and you can put me in jail.
Well, I don't need to look like a tough guy because I am one, but I like the cut of your giblets. We'll be there Sunday.
Okay, pero wait for my signal, porque we will be up late playing games.
I don't play games.
Well, I like to play games. Sometimes I play Candyland, so if you hear that I'm in the Peppermint Plateau, don't come, because that means that I'm about to win. Or if you hear the clicky-clacky of the hungry hippos, just wait, porque I'm busy eating all the balls, todos los pelotas. I eat them.
I've heard that about you. Is there anything else?
Could you also bring my wife?
I frankly have no problem with that. I love Venezuelan ladies.
That's good. That's good. Oh, also she has been a super nagote recently, so tell your guys to rough her up a little bit.
Well, look, if that's what you want, I have to go. The president of Colombia is calling. That little bitch always has the sniffles.
I mean, he was giving it out.
Yeah.
He took it.
Also, by the way, you can admonish me, Toolman Tim, because apparently I way overshot the Mongol descendants, but it's a lot. It's not 1/16 of planet Earth.
Well, that's not an admonishment. Get that off the screen.
I don't think you guys are right about.
It's fine.
I don't think you guys are right about 16 million. That's Mongolians today. Like there's.
We'll do some research.
We haven't 23'd me the whole Earth. All right.
Fair.
Let's go to the losers. These are the losers in this situation. Of course, the geopolitical foes of the United States. That includes China. So this is important because when people say, oh, it's just about oil, like making oil companies rich. No, 80% of Venezuelan oil was being exported to China, to be clear. That's important for China. And again, this is the most oil-rich country in the world. And I know it depends. People say, well, actually, I understand you're talking about crude and you're talking about, but has a lot of oil. And it was going to China. Also, Venezuela was the largest Latin American recipient of Chinese investment, like $60 billion. And they were the largest Latin American buyer of Chinese military tech.
How'd that work out?
Yeah. Well, there's more to it than that. Keep in mind that the Chinese delegation was in Caracas at the time of the capture, which I think may have been by design.
I think they only got there like hours before, maybe within the last 12 hours.
Are they there yet? Watch this, Slants!
Let's see how that military tech works. Now, one other point I want to say, like on the China thing, don't forget Panama happened too. Mm-hmm. Right? The Belt and Roads Initiative. A lot of people are forgetting like why we're concerned about that region and the investments that China's making worldwide and the things they're trying to do with rare earths. Like this is really boxing them out. And for all of those who are out there trying to like armchair this and say, yeah, they're going to go and take Taiwan. And then what moral authority do we have? These are not the same situations. Not even close to the same situations. No, I don't think it emboldens them. I think it makes them go, they did what in 90 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe not.
Not only
maybe
that.
They think they could do a lot better. That's fine. I understand that. But do you really think they want a FAFO right now with Donald Trump? This guy is very unpredictable. I don't think it does anything for Taiwan.
Also, keep in mind, a lot of these people, a lot of these sort of libertarians, these black pillars, and I'm really generally non-interventionist. I think you could make a case both ways. I kind of did as it related to Iran. But I think the results now speak for themselves. I think it was worth it. What did this cost us? There are different estimates, like $20 to $30 million.
Yeah.
That's a nice home in hill country in Austin. Okay?
Nothing.
Let's be clear about that.
We just got about 50 million barrels of oil.
Yeah.
Okay. So I listen, if they're satisfying contracts that sanctioned oil and they're taking care of it, that's fantastic. Listen, winning looks good. Okay.
Well, not only that, but what these libertarians, black pillars do is they seem to be experts in things that haven't happened yet. World War III, Iran. And right now they're doing the same thing. Saying this is going to destabilize Venezuela. Watch, it's going to be a problem. What, with their blowguns and pea shooters? Shut up. But even more than that, so wait, you're taking the reverse of reality. China just lost one of their largest, trade partners as far as oil. They just saw someone get taken out in the middle of the night. Now basically an operation the second time, if you count Iran. That was a refinement facility. I understand that. This was an actual human being. And they're going to be more emboldened. And then why would they take Taiwan? Because they can make up the oil in Taiwan. If you just walk through it logically, you go, oh, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
This is fear mongering because you have people who want to just sort of be contrarian. I'm glad that we're killing communists.
Yeah.
And now.
I wish we'd killed one more, to be quite honest.
Well.
Instead of taking them, but.
There's a lot more.
Yeah, well, I understand that too. You put a hit out on Rubio, you should be killed. I would have had no problem with that. But this shows the people of Venezuela like, hey,
it's definitely a power move to typical Trump stuff. He's parading him through New York City.
Yeah.
Definitely a power move. It sends a message, but.
Yeah. The other thing too is obviously Russia. I forgot about.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Russia. Here's why, we talked about oil with China. Russia, not so much. They have quite a bit of natural resources on that front.
It's a different oil.
Yeah, it's a different oil. But here's what is funny about Russia. Venezuela, their air defense systems, they were made by Russia and it did nothing.
Nothing.
And I saw people online going like, how is this even possible? Venezuela, they must have been in on it. Yep. They must have like powered them down by themselves. They must have shut them down. Why would they do that? Like, possible.
It's kind of possible in the same way that Russia couldn't take a small area of Ukraine.
I mean, you know what? We have an apples to apples comparison. Russia did try to do this exact thing to Vladimir Zelensky in Kiev, and it didn't work.
Right.
So sorry.
They tried to act like they didn't too. As somebody from the Kremlin was like, "No, we could do that easily. What the United States did in Venezuela, we could do that easily, probably even easier. But we haven't done it because we respect international law."
Yes, exactly.
What? What international law have you ever respected?
Do you think when it started, do you think the Russians were sitting there like, "Wait for it, wait for it"? Shit.
Oh, they did it. 90 minutes. Whoa, that's great.
This is from the Telegraph. One analyst wrote, the speed with which these systems were neutralized signals a catastrophic failure of Russian export air defense technology against fifth-generation Western air power. So now Russia has abandoned their buddies in Syria, Iran, Venezuela, and now their oil is less relevant than ever. Well, certainly for the United States. I don't know about Europe. I don't know about NATO, right? That's the one thing too. It's like, hey, you better not do that. But
no, they're gonna keep buying Russian oil out of principle,
right?
Well, because of what we did was bad, so they're gonna buy it from Russia because that's the right thing to do.
Yeah,
right. These people live in a world where Trump is worse than getting oil from Russia.
Yeah, and they say that has no impact. Listen, here's how very quickly, Russia needs oil prices to be a little higher. That funds their war machine. If you increase production in Venezuela, because they had gone to like very low levels relative to how much oil they have of production.
Yes.
Ridiculously low. If you start ramping that up, it does put more pressure on Russia. That's the oil play for Russia.
It also shows, hey, free countries, free enterprise-based countries, they do better than socialist or communist countries. Because what happened is when the socialists took power, the communists took power in Venezuela, like, yeah, get rid of all the people who could actually maintain this infrastructure. It was state-of-the-art, left it to rot. Do we have any other examples of, oh, that's right, Mao, sending doctors and lawyers out into the fields. Oh, that's right, Pol Pot. Oh, that's right, Stalin. They don't know how to run things.
No.
That's when people say seize the means of production and distribution. What makes you think that you will know that anywhere near as well as someone who created that business from the ground up?
Those chants are always chanted by unemployed people.
Yeah, exactly.
Seize the means of production. How do you produce?
Every single one of those protesters, you see, free Maduro, viva Maduro. If you were to put them in charge of a company, those are the people who would take all the money for themselves as a salary, be broke in 5 years, and the company goes under. They have no idea how to build a business, how to build anything.
Yeah.
Communists, socialists, they only destroy. And then it turns out we're better than them at that too. Here's another loser. Not Cuba, the Cuban government, to be clear. So both Chavez and Maduro, they really, so many people hated Maduro in Venezuela that he needed to find Cubans to actually help protect him. 32 Cuban officers were killed in that raid. And now, when asked, the United States warned that, you know what? Yeah, maybe Cuba's on the list.
Are you considering U.S. action in Cuba?
We're not. I think it's just going to fall. I don't think we need any action. It looks like it's going down. It's going down for the count. You ever watch a fight?
Yeah.
They go down for the count.
You ever watch boxing? Yeah, they wear gloves. They box in gloves.
Yes, I know. I watch it.
Tape they put on the hands. So here's something you guys need to. I would love to see this. Just take out the government in Cuba and just crate drop some rifles. Say, have fun. If Cuba opened up,
yes,
you would see it become a first world country immediately. If only based on United States tourism. It also shows you that communism can't work, because think about it. People blame the United States for Cuba, right? We're blamed both ways. But they have the biggest trading partners in the world with Russia and China. Well, why can't they make it work? The most fertile soil possibly on Earth. Everything grows there. Used to be a playground for the wealthy. And you have the two largest countries, outside of they're not as powerful as the United States. You guys should all be able to make communism work.
No, it's turds trading with turds.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
The United States gets blamed for Cuba's poverty, not China and Russia.
Yeah.
Oh, the United States gets blamed for violating international law, not China and Russia, who assisted these evil dictators in violating international law. You would see Cuba, just imagine the tobacco industry, the people who were there, who own the tobacco fields. They'd get it back from the Cuban government, and they'd be able to host a bidding war. Hey, which one of these companies who've moved to Nicaragua, Honduras, the Dominican Republic, who wants to start running this ship? That could be exported. Sugarcane, you would see it become a first world country. And frankly, I'm always amazed that we allow that to be a weak point. We shouldn't have anyone right off our coast where Russians can set up missiles. Did you forget that? That happened. Another important point to note is Cuba mirrors the economy in Venezuela. So pre-revolution, they had a bigger economy than Singapore, Taiwan, South Korea. And today, Singapore's economy is now 10 times larger. Taiwan is 4 times larger. South Korea is 4 times larger. It's abject poverty for the people of Cuba. The results are in communism, socialism has hurt everything it touches. You could even go to the UK and look at the absolute destruction of their own healthcare system. Now it's a problem. It wasn't a crisis 15 years ago where people would praise it. Now when it's basically insolvent, if you were to use that term, people say, oh, it just needs more money thrown at it. And here's the thing too. I guess this is kind of new. The Trump administration, they reportedly gave an ultimatum to Venezuela to sever ties with China, Russia, Iran, Cuba, or, well, you know how it ends. Second loser is this concept of, I know I'm going a little long today, international law.
It's not a thing.
International law. That's what people say. I mean, you can say it, and libertarians and leftists, by the way, who are far closer together. It used to be libertarians were kind of more in the conservative wing, only they wanted a bunch of weed and Bitcoin or whatever it was. But now they're basically liberals who claim that they're not woke. I'm sorry, it's really hard for me to delineate. When you welcome Islamists with open arms and condemn an action that killed a communist dictator with no loss of life to us, I just think you're a liberal who wants to pretend that you're a part of intelligentsia, because these people are all now whining. This actually, President Trump violated international law.
It's not legal to do this.
Tell people why not.
Well, it's not legal because it violates international law.
As you have suggested,
Say the buzzword.
For somebody
Which
in a
law?
third country to say members of the Trump administration have violated international law or violated the law of their country, and they're going to storm into our country and abduct these people and take them away.
If a foreign power accused the British Prime Minister of breaking its domestic law, bombed targets in the UK, killed dozens of British citizens, and abducted the Prime Minister and his wife in the middle of the night, would the government be able to say that was legal? Or is international law only something that applies when Donald Trump says it can?
People in news and stuff like that saying that, like, well, hey, there's no such thing as international law anyway. It's all bullshit because there's no enforcement mechanism, which is like, that is true
Just
to
say
some
true.
degree. And I've always kind of said
True,
the same
period.
thing, that international law is kind of made up. You think that's a better world? A better world is that if nation states agree that we won't invade each other and we won't topple each other's governments, you could just break that whenever you want to. And that is the way the United States of America operates.
So unless the Nazis or unless Stalin, unless they invaded other countries, so if they just did all that, we shouldn't do anything. Is that the point? You guys do understand that it is about powerful countries have always been calling the shots. We're in a very rare moment in history where Donald Trump didn't just act unilaterally. The people of Venezuela are happy about it. A huge portion of the American people are happy about it, and they'll be happier about it when they see the results. There was a reason for this. But this idea that, oh, okay, all right, because everyone else said, yeah, truce. No, it doesn't apply. It's asinine. Yes, power does matter.
Yeah.
It absolutely does. And the fact that Canada is allowed to exist. Let me, before, we're going to go to that.
Canada in a minute.
This just ties them into pretzels, because all these people in the EU, by the way, are now saying international law. They were the ones telling you that Maduro had violated international law and something needed to be done. Donald Trump's the only one who had the teeth to do it. And now they go, that's violating international law. So it doesn't mean anything. Let me give you an example, a couple here. So yeah, Maduro, okay, you saw that. You saw what happened with Iran. So let's just go right now with Venezuela. Maduro, all right. Full moon night, by the way, just taken out.
Yeah, high visibility is a bad time to conduct.
In the biggest, I think, military compound in
the country,
Venezuela. So you would think that if they were going to use their military might to protect anything, it would be their leader, their glorified narco-terrorist, in the biggest military compound. Same thing you would think with Iran, right? If they were going to use their military might to protect anything, it would be the enrichment facility that would be required for them to build a nuke, which I wish I loved anything as much as Iran wants to build a nuke. You would think so. And they couldn't do a damn thing. We went in, did what we needed to, got out, And none of our guys lost their lives. It was very, very low cost, high yield. Now that brings me to Canada. In 1995, the Prime Minister of Canada was the victim of an assassination attempt. I believe it was Jean Chrétien. Do you know what happened? A man made it through the perimeter into the Prime Minister's house, their White House equivalent, and made it up to the bedroom.
No.
What stopped him was the wife saw him out of the corner of her eye, closed the door and locked it.
And they called for help.
And then called security, and he waited. He had like a 5-inch blade, by the way. That's like a Swiss Army knife.
Celia Flores should have locked the door.
Yeah. She's like, hey, there's the guy. He's here to kill my husband. They're like, oh, sorry about that. So if we could do this to Maduro, we're just allowing Canada to play country. That's a lot of these countries, to be clear. Do you have any idea how easy it would be? That would be an imperialist nation, which, by the way, I'm okay with a little bit of conquest at this point because I think it does benefit the United States. Let's go. Just Canadians, you guys tell people in the comment section that story, right? Do I have it about right? 95, I think, Chrétien. He made it up to the bedroom, and the wife's like, Carlis, there's a guy to kill us, and he closed the door. She closed the door, and the guy outside is like, tabarnak.
You're right,
I've explained.
You're right, though. Power does matter because you see these pundits and people online. They're talking about, well, how about somebody comes and takes our president? How about that? It's like, okay, well, the difference is if somebody came and took our president, first of all, they can't.
Right.
They couldn't do it. If they did do it, if they were able to do it, and then they did do it, we would immediately declare war and then destroy everything that they own.
Yes.
Venezuela's not doing that. They're like, oh, thanks.
Yeah.
And now we can do our own thing.
Except the leader of Colombia is like, come and get me, you coward. It's like, I wouldn't say that.
It's almost exact same message.
Yeah, it's like
choice of words.
I would not challenge at this point. This brings us to, let's do some then and now. Right now, the EU is saying that we must uphold the international law. It's my generic sort of European.
I like it, yeah.
This is from the EEAS. The EU recalls that under all circumstances, the principles of international law and the UN Charter must be upheld. Members of the United States Security Council have a particular responsibility to uphold those principles as a pillar of the international security architecture. Let's go back to then, August 2024, the EU Foreign Policy Chief, Joseph Borrell, discussing Maduro and the election. He said, as there are no tallies and there is no verification, and we fear that there will never be any, we cannot accept Maduro's legitimacy as Venezuela's president-elect. Oh, great. So what are you going to do about it? Oh, nothing? Then when someone does something, you say it's a violation of international law? No, the violation took place by your own admission when they locked people out from voting. Oh, I get it. You're a pussy. This brings us back to now.
Speaking of.
Senator Chris Murphy, yes. Connecticut, Democrat, of course, is furious about Trump's actions. International law.
Once again, you're seeing that this president's foreign policy, the invasion of Venezuela, the ouster of Maduro, is about making his crowd filthy rich. It has nothing to do with American national security.
Mm-hmm. This brings us back to then, January 2019. Murphy's take was a little different. He wrote, if Trump cared about consistency, he would make the realist case for intervention in Venezuela. Getting rid of Maduro is good for the United States, rather than trying to pretend his administration all of a sudden cares about toppling anti-democratic regimes. They did the same thing with Iran, right? People go, well, if it's really about this with Iran, why aren't they doing it? Insert whatever, Congo, whatever it is today. They go, why isn't he doing this one? So back then they go, well, then why isn't he doing Venezuela? All right, let's do Venezuela. Well, why aren't you doing Cuba? Let's do Cuba. Well, why aren't you doing another place that I haven't thought of yet? Just
I hate this guy.
You don't need to adapt to these charlatans. Is this in the best interest of the United States? Yes. Does it also sting a little bit for China and Russia? That's a bonus. Both boxes checked. Let's go back to now. Tammy Duckworth.
That's from the Mighty Ducks.
Yeah. Quack, 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 quack,
Mr. Ducksworth.
Ducks fly together. That was D2, the better film.
Ooh, you can really put Knuckle Puck above the original.
2 minutes well worth.
Yeah. Triple deke.
All right.
By the way, that's not a move. That's just what you do.
It's just deking 3 times.
Handling the puck. So Tammy Duckworth called out President Trump's actions, and by the way, also used the term foreign leader. I've seen that a lot. People are like the rightful president sovereign government.
Yeah.
She wrote, Donald Trump's reckless and unconstitutional operations in Venezuela. Hey, why don't you tell the Venezuelans about constitutional operations, including this morning's arrest of a foreign leader, but the international community said he wasn't an actual leader, are not about enforcing law and order, because if they were, he wouldn't hide them from Congress. Doesn't need you.
Maybe he's worried that Congress will tell.
Yeah, maybe he's worried that it's filled with bitches like you. This brings us back to then. This is still 2025.
It's not long ago.
In May, Duckworth described not as a foreign leader, but Venezuela as living under a dictatorship. When Trump wanted to send Venezuelans who were here illegally back home. It's just about, Trump does it, I say the opposite. And by the way, it's not just Trump. They did the same thing with Reagan. Is this morally good, or does this benefit the United States? 9 times out of 10, if it is morally good, or if it benefits the United States, the left will be against it. Take note of the libertarians out there who line up on the same sides on almost all of those pivotal issues. She wrote, this heartless Trump administration policy does nothing to make us safer. It betrays our values and could needlessly send thousands back into Maduro's brutal dictatorship.
Wow.
Well. Yikes.
The Democrats and libertarians are so far gone that the voice of reason in their party is the guy with stroke face.
I respect my friend in Connecticut, but we have different views on this and perhaps other views as well. I just said this on my social media that, remind everybody that America is a force of good, order, and democracy, and we are promoting these kinds of values. We are the good guys. Let's pretend that now we are acting in a way. Now, remember, we all Democrats years ago wanted to eliminate him, and why have a bounty of $25 million if we didn't want him gone? Why would you do these things if you weren't willing to actually do something other than harsh language?
Yeah.
He's absolutely right.
Yeah.
In summary, international law is not a thing.
Nope.
Okay? It's imaginary. It's fairy dust. And thank God the most powerful country on earth is the United States of America. You think the Mongols, you think the Ottomans, you think the Romans would purchase the energy from the country that they could very easily conquer? And now people go, now we're going to move on to Greenland. If you cared about the Constitution, you wouldn't say this about Greenland. Yeah, but you said that it was a brutal dictator in Venezuela. And if Donald Trump really cared about actually helping people, he would go into Venezuela. And then he did. And you said, if he actually cared, he would. You constantly move the goalposts. Yeah. Be very, very vigilant. And I mean this because obviously I live to, in this program, exist to fight the left. But they're in your ranks now. Some very good indicators are, first off, do they line up with the left on most issues? Where do they line up on issues that benefit America or are morally good, and do they constantly move goalposts? That is a tactic of the left because their ideas don't stand up to scrutiny. Whenever someone goes, hey, yeah, this conflict, but then why don't you do this here? You have people who act as though they are experts in things that haven't happened yet. And yes, I would include a friend of the show. I enjoyed my conversation with him, Dave Smith, amongst them. It's always someone's making a prediction, and they're never held accountable for these predictions. The left is never held to account for their policies. And the same thing with these libertarians. There's going to be World War III. Is it? Is it? Is anyone actually still trying to make the case that the Iranian strike, whether you agree with it or not in principle, that it escalated things? International law doesn't exist, but winning does, and turns out it's popular with Americans, according to my favorite person at CNN.
Okay, U.S. military ousting Maduro. Pre-ousting, what you saw was the clear plurality of Americans opposed at 47%, just 21% support. Come over to this side of the screen. After the ousting, look at that. The support's through the roof. Now we're talking about 37%.
Signature move.
Well within the margin of error right here of the opposition, 38%. It turns out Americans like what they deem to be successful foreign policy operations. And in this case, they view the ousting of Maduro, at least up to this point, as a successful one, and therefore the support way up.
Yeah, before underwater, now basically even. What about the idea of putting Maduro on trial here in the United States?
Yeah, part of the reason why I think that the success number is way up, and you saw it here, what was it? It was 26 points in favor of opposition, and now within the margin of error, is because they simply don't like Nicolas Maduro. And in fact, they believe that he should be on trial for drug trafficking. Look at this, 50% of Americans favor compared to just 14% who oppose. So there are very few Americans here who oppose it. Even among Democrats, the opposition number is below, get this, just 24%. It is below 25%. So this is something that unites Republicans. It divides Democrats. And at this particular point, support for the operation way up. And in terms of those who favor the drug trafficking trial for Maduro, that is a clear plurality.
Yeah, so people who want to make you think, oh, this is divisive. No, it's really not. And this is something that's been pretty common. The United States likes winning, and we hate communists. And I love that. And he gets so enthusiastic he can't even finish his phrases. Well, look at it, because it's up. When we go to that next thing, it's like, hey, when will Venezuela hold the next presidential election? According to Kalshi, before June 2027, it's going to be 71%. But if it's before January 20, it's going to be 61%. And then September, wow, 39%. Before June 1st. 26%. He doesn't even finish his phrases. The guy gets so enthusiastic.
He just gets excited. He loves numbers. These prediction markets are like heaven for him.
Yeah.
He probably just cruises them all night.
Yeah.
He's probably making a killing.
And the truth is, I don't really care. I mean, I do. It has to be a government that is at least acquiescent to the United States, where they don't screw us on our contracts and we invest billions of dollars. You can't have a government do that. But outside of that, you know what? Maybe they want to be a part of the free market economy and do better and improve the quality of life for their citizens, or maybe they don't. That's not our business. Our business is ensuring that our interests are secured and China's and Russia's are not. Which brings us to the third loser here, Canada. This is a big one, and it puts a smile on my face. So the oil, obviously the kind of oil in Venezuela also is very close to that of Canada. Canada needs us to refine their oil. They produce a lot of it, but it's crude. This could be a huge problem for Canada. Guess they should have built those pipelines.
For decades now, Canada's oil patch has prospered from the decline of Venezuela's industry. Now that same industry could pose a new competitive threat.
We went to Saudi Arabia, Mexico, Brazil, Colombia, Canada.
Lino Carrillo is one of hundreds of highly trained workers who ended up in Alberta, where he ran a refinery.
The bitumen from Alberta is identical to the bitumen in the Orinoco tar belt. Identical.
If Venezuela's oil were to start flowing again at the level it once did, it could pose a problem for Canada, especially given its ease of access to Gulf Coast refineries.
You'll just pull a tanker up, unload, and then you're kind of competing directly with Canadian barrels.
Yeah, 90% of Canada's crude oil was exported to the United States.
Well,
so now they're definitely going to be looking at cheaper costs. They're going to have to compete, and it could drive them out of the market. Also, Chinese refiners, the refineries that are going to be hurt as well. So this is really a net, as far as oil, only a net benefit really to the United States, the people of Venezuela, not so much to Canada, who screwed around and found out, not so much to China, and not so much to Russia because there's more global access to oil. There are a lot of wins going on right now. As far as immigration, as far as oil, as far as our standing in the world. That was something where people said, you have any idea? We're going to be a laughingstock. I'm not seeing that. We have a direct contrast. And I kept telling you guys this. You're going to have 8 years of Obama, 4 years of Donald Trump, 3 really. COVID's a lost year. 4 years of Biden. And now we're having Donald Trump again. I don't know that we've ever in history had a more clear example of contrast in American approaches. I'm not talking about nice feelings. I'm talking about getting things done. What do you think history is going to say about Donald Trump versus Joe Biden in our approach? What do you think history will say about Maduro, about Chavez? What do you think the history books will say about the Bernie Sanderses, the Sean Penns, the Oliver Stones of the world who praised Chavez, who praised, by the way, the Castros, and did nothing while those people starved, while those people lost weight, while they were driven into abject poverty? The only questions that remain is, hey, what kind of a government are they going to have? Do we think it could be any worse? Are we going to need boots on the ground? Well, does that necessarily mean war? We don't know those things yet, but we do know that the calculus from the people who've been screaming the sky is falling, whether it's Iran, whether it's Venezuela, I mean, Canada as well, they've been wrong about pretty much all of their predictions thus far. So I'll take a win. Oh, you're still here? And you're still watching this on YouTube? You've probably noticed something is missing by now. I'm not here. That's because the Live Daily Show is now streaming exclusively on Rumble weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. Tune in there, where nothing is censored.